Hey y'all, it's time for another episode of 10th Inning Talk. I'm your girl April, also known as All About April on all social media platforms, and I am here to deliver the latest and greatest in both collegiate and professional softball and baseball news. As you can see, I have a brand new podcast set up. I'm really excited about this. My mom came this past weekend and we just decided to go all in with this. I am fully committed to giving you great news of a sport that I love. And I wanted to make sure that we had the background that goes along with it that also fits who I am. Y'all know I had to do something with LSU. And shout out to Mr. Taylor, one of the people that I worked with. He got it at a fair and he was like, I know the perfect person for it. And that perfect person was me. So I'm in love with this and I can't wait for you to be able to see exactly what more I have to bring on my podcast. If you haven't already checked out some of the recent ones, please make sure you do so. I've had my girl Just Jeeves on here. We talked a lot about Yankees baseball, AUSL, and then, of course, I had the great Miss Natola Hawthorne, the first Black woman to umpire in a Division I baseball game. Just a wealth of information, and it's also really, really great to know that there are women out there who also enjoy this sport. But before we hop into today's episode, which is episode 22, I have to remind you to make sure that you check out my guy, Flowo Boyce, and his podcast In the Booth. Now, it's called In the Booth with Flowo Boyce. Don't get it twisted. But he also has some great episodes as well. And then, of course, you always should be finishing your breakfast with my guy Cheats. And of course, we have the live podcast every Monday night, which has been popping with Postseason baseball. There are articles on the Black Baseball Mixtape website. And there are also some comics for you to check out. So just a wealth of things for you to be able to hop into, but let's go on ahead and lock into episode 22, which I have titled Postseason Baseball Week 1. I know it's not as exciting as my previous titles. However, I thought that I wanted to just give something that was simple because OMG, or maybe that's what I should have called it, OMG, Week 1 Postseason Baseball, because that's exactly what it was. It's been some great baseball. Let me go on ahead and say this. And for any of you who are a fan, you know October baseball is just a moment. And it's a moment in the midst of so many other sports having their time as well. You have the WNBA finals going on. You have the return of NHL. You have college football. You have professional football. And then you have MLB. So we fit right in, but for me, I just feel like this is the perfect time for baseball to have its moment, especially with the way the postseason is set up. And I have said this before, and I'm going to say it again. I absolutely believe that Major League Baseball has the best all-star setup. That, like, I'm not debating that with anybody. I've heard some people say NHL does, but when it comes to the postseason, I absolutely love what MLB has done. It's just a flurry of excitement that you can't get away from. You're always expecting what's next, and you don't know what that next is going to be. And the changes have also added to this high level of excitement. So yes, who doesn't want to tune into postseason Major League Baseball? Because me, your girl, is all in. One of the changes that MLB made a few years ago was moving away from the 1 game wild card to the 3 game wild card. So, for those of you who are new baseball fans, you have 3 games in the first round, but all 3 games, if necessary, are played at the team with the best MLB record. So, for round 1, or the wild card round, those teams were the Cleveland Guardians, the Chicago Cubs, the Los Angeles Dodgers, and the New York Yankees. So, yes, you have a home field advantage in that particular aspect. It's wonderful because they also, you have a 26-man roster. Who makes that roster? You have to make some tough decisions. So it's all about the best of the best meeting up. And this is one of the things that I don't think a lot of people realize. When you're playing in the postseason for Major League Baseball, this is not your normal 5-man rotation. On certain games, you're going to probably pitch your best pitchers. When Paul Skeen shows up, when Yamamoto shows up, when Garrett Crochet shows up, here, everybody's the best. So you just bring in your best game regardless. And that is one of the things that I absolutely love about this postseason, because who is going to show up when the moment arrives? And that's what happened in many of these series, beginning with the Cubs versus the Padres. The Cubs took 2 out of 3 versus the Padres, and they moved on to the NLDS versus the Brewers. And then you had the Los Angeles Dodgers, also in the National League wild card, playing the Cincinnati Reds, and they won the first 2 games. That was it. They didn't need to go to a game 3. Now, in the American League, you had Cleveland hosting the Detroit Tigers, and unfortunately for Cleveland, this was the end of the road for them. Detroit took the series, and they are now currently in the ALDS playing the Seattle Mariners. And then finally, for me, the most exciting series of the wild card round had to be of the AL East wild card, games between the New York Yankees and the Boston Red Sox. Starting off with Garrett Crochet just pitching a phenomenal game 1, and then turning it over to Aroldis Chapman. You didn't know which Aroldis Chapman you was going to get, because it kind of started off a little shaky, but he got comfortable, and then boom. Just amazing to be able to witness, but it just wasn't enough. The Red Sox were without one of their best players, Roman Anthony. They were also without Lucas Giolito. So New York moves on to play their AL East rival, the Toronto Blue Jays. Now, before I continue, I do want to tell y'all, I was actually approached by Major League Baseball on Threads. I was sent a DM and asked to fill out a bracket for the postseason, which, hello, very exciting. And if you're not following me on Threads at All About April 3, make sure that you do that. So yes, I happily filled out my bracket. However, your girl only has 20 points because in my bracket, I had the Dodgers and Red Sox heading to the finals. And as you can see, the Red Sox are going to be nowhere near the finals. Before you tell me I'm crazy for picking the Red Sox, number 1, I picked them before the Lucas Giolito injury, or knowing that he was out. Number 2, I also went with what my heart desired at the beginning of the season. Before the season started, I picked the Dodgers versus the Red Sox. And it wasn't just because I liked the Dodgers, because I'm a Dodgers fan. I picked them because I truly believe that the Dodgers had a team that could go the distance. And so here we are. But shout out to my girls at the ballpark, and also Baker Raiderette. They too did brackets, and Baker Raiderette, listen, homegirl was perfect in round one. So we'll see how this pans out in round two. And I will also keep y'all up to date, but just kudos to me to have this moment because I am pretty active on threads, and I'm just excited for the opportunity to be able to share right or wrong about what this means, and to also be in community with so many other people who love the sport of baseball. So yes, make sure you're following me there. Now, let's move over to the ALDS, because after the Yankees eliminated the Red Sox, I thought we were going to have some type of competitiveness happen. Mm-mm. Ciao, the Blue Jays came in and handled business. Now, what's also interesting for new baseball lovers is that with the wild card happening, you have teams with a bye. So you had the Philadelphia Phillies and the Milwaukee Brewers in the National League with a bye. And this bye typically gives you just about a week off. And then in the American League, you had the Toronto Blue Jays and the Seattle Mariners. And in the past, when you have a bye, this bye leaves you kind of sluggish. But last year, it seems as if the Dodgers were able to break this particular mold and successfully move past that sluggish round. And obviously, they won the World Series. But other teams seem to have broken out of that sluggish moment as well and are doing very, very well, because the Blue Jays have just been annihilating the Yankees. I'm talking about like 20 runs within 2 games. So are the Yankees going to be able to come back? They are in New York today because I'm recording this on Tuesday. Will the Yankees be able to get a win in New York and stall off this series for a little longer? I don't know. I'm interested to see and hear exactly what you think. But the other series in the AL, if I do say so myself, is probably the most exciting series in this entire division series out of both the AL and NL, and that is the Detroit Tigers versus the Seattle Mariners. And it seems as if these teams are just evenly matched. And it's just a beauty to be able to watch and to be able to experience, because you think the game's going to go one way, but it's really not. And OMG, because the Tigers, they seem like they're playing with a chip on their shoulders. And then the Mariners, they seem like they are just destined for the moment. Like it's their time, and they want to make sure that everybody knows that it's their time and they want to win. So make sure you are checking that out. And also, if you're not following me on TikTok and also YouTube Shorts, go on ahead, follow me on YouTube at 10th Inning Talk. I am posting videos there for you to be able to give me your information as well. You can participate and let me know who you think will be winning in these series games. You can also do that on TikTok. So just some fun moments. Let's head on over to the National League Division Series, because this Cubs Brewers series, the Brewers look like they haven't lost a step. Like at all. They have not lost a step. One thing about the Brewers is they're not just resilient, they just always look ready for the moment. And even if you are someone who has not watched or followed the team, when you do watch them, they just look always prepared. Like they're unfazed. They're down by 5 runs. What's 5 runs? We'll give that back. And then they do. So it's so amazing to be able to watch a team who is able to put it together and keep it together. And I do wonder what happens when they meet up with if they are able to overtake the Cubs, which it looks like they may, and they meet up with the next team, are they going to be able to maintain this momentum? Because they haven't lost it even with the bye. Now, in the other division series, you have the Philadelphia Phillies and the Los Angeles Dodgers, which the game last night was just phenomenal with Roki Sasaki ending the game as the closer. But it was touch and go for a little bit. I didn't know what was going to happen, especially when Blake Trinan got on the mound and was doing Blake Trinan things. No offense, there's only one Blake I want to see on the mound for the Dodgers the rest of this postseason, and that's Blake Snell, who is showing everyone exactly why he's getting paid the big bucks. He has had phenomenal outings in both the wild card and the division series, and shout out to Blake Snell for that too. And also, Yamamoto's going to be pitching. We've seen Emmett Sheehan come out and do a great job, but Roki Sasaki doing his thing, no words, just phenomenal. And then the base play. But for the Phillies are not hitting well, y'all. And they were not hitting well in Citizens Bank Park, their own home. So to see them struggle like this is actually surprising. And I do wonder what this is going to mean for them in the off season, regardless of if they move past this round or not. And I'm interested to hear exactly what you think about that. But even with the Phillies, we also have to be reminded that they have lost Zach Wheeler, one of their best pitchers, if not their best pitcher, for the postseason. So having him not there, that is huge, especially for a team like the Dodgers, who are able to monopolize off of, pitchers, etc. So let's see how this goes, because they do return to LA. The Dodgers were able to take 2 games in Philly, and they returned to LA and will be playing on Wednesday. As a matter of fact, on Wednesday, there will be 4 games, all 4 games in the division series, both AL and NL. And I hope that you are completely tuned in. Make sure that you let me know who you think will be winning in these division series, and also let me know who you think is going to ultimately win the 2025 World Series. I'll be back next week to talk about the championship series, both the National League and the American League. But I do want to leave you with a little bit of tidbit, because last night on the live podcast of the Black Baseball Mixtape, Cheats brought up a great point about which players do we think are going to be breakout stars. And I think it's great for me to discuss players that I think that you should be keeping a close eye out on during the 2025 postseason. And it doesn't matter if this is a well-known name. I'm going to give you a reason why I think you should be locked in to these particular players. Starting off with number 7. They call him PCA. That would be Pete Crow Armstrong of the Chicago Cubs. Now, PCA is a center fielder. We also know that PCA is about to get a nice contract because he's had a pretty great year. And outside of the style and just the aura that he gives, he's a great player. And he is a player that is truly a game changer. And I absolutely believe that you should be watching him. He's made phenomenal plays in the outfield. He can run the bases very well. He can get you the hit that the team needs. And so, yes, I do think that PCA is a difference maker that you absolutely should be keeping a close eye on this postseason. At number 6, I have Ben Rice of the New York Yankees. When Ben Rice did not start game 1 versus the Boston Red Sox, there were so many people, including my dad, who are not happy that he did not start because Ben Rice, he's a game changer. But Ben Rice is a DH. Ben Rice plays first base. He can also play catcher. Ben Rice is just a great team player who also, when he's in that lineup, he is going to impact it in a positive way. And so when he pinch hit, people were like, oh, you should have been had him in. And he was definitely in that lineup that Tuesday game for sure. But yes, Ben Rice is just one of those guys that I believe can have a great postseason if the Yankees happen to perform well tonight while they are in New York playing against Toronto. But regardless, I look forward to watching even more of Ben Rice in the 2026 season because I just find him to be such an exciting player. At number 5, I have Jackson Churio of the Milwaukee Brewers, who has already hit a home run this postseason. But Jackson Churio, this is his introduction to the postseason, or his introduction to many people. He is, for me, not really a household name, but he is a name that people get to become more familiar with. And by watching his game, both offensively and defensively, it's a moment to get excited about because Jackson Churio is going to be a player that you will be hearing about for years to come. In fact, many of the players on this list, they're young, they're athletic, and I absolutely believe that, yes, you will be hearing about them for years to come. And so he is an outfielder for the Brewers. He is one of the people who is really giving this team the moment to be successful. So yes, I think you should be tuned in to him. At number 4, we're going to stay with the Brewers because I think that you should also be tuned into pitcher Jacob Misiorowski. Now, Jacob actually made his first All-Star game, and it was a little controversial because some people were wondering, why is he in the All-Star game? He hasn't been playing that long. But we are seeing exactly why he made the All-Star team. And Jacob was just a phenomenal pitcher. There was a sequence where he had pitches over 100 miles per hour. And I'm just not talking about literally 100 miles per hour on the dot. 104, 103, 104, 104. Just incredible. And so when he gets on that mound, there's a sense of intimidation, whether you realize it or not, because you don't know exactly how fast that pitch is coming over that plate. And I do believe that he adds an element of wonder to the Brewers, who are already having a really successful season, whether it's regular and postseason. So yes, keep an eye out for Jacob Misiorowski. At number 3, I have to talk about Julio Rodriguez. He's still very young. We looked it up last night. He's 24 years old. He's a center fielder for the Seattle Mariners. And I mentioned last night that one of the reasons why I believe that Julio is having more of a successful year is because all of the pressure is not just on him. For a while, Seattle was known to be the team that had great pitchers. But as far as hitting, you didn't know what you was going to get. This year, Seattle has a great batting lineup, and they have the defense and the pitching. So for Julio, you have a Randy Arozarena, you have a Cal Riley who is having an exceptional year, especially as an MVP candidate. You have J.P. Crawford playing very, very well. You went out and you get Naylor. So it's hard to move away from what you see Seattle doing, but it's almost a compliment to him. And this compliment, it allows him to be successful without having the pressure. He can just be the player and not be the only player. And I love that about Julio. So I think that he also can have this breakout year. He had a great game the other night, which set Seattle up for success. And I'm interested to see a little bit more. Us not just knowing him as the home run derby champion, but also a postseason king. At number two, I have to shout out Vlad Guerrero Jr. because when he signed that $400 million contract this offseason, a lot of people were like, why are we paying him that? Really? A first baseman? Because there are a lot of first basemen out there. Is that what we're doing now? Are we overpaying people? But as Malik would say, he's number one underrated as a first baseman. And I will say, I've seen him make some incredible plays at first base. But Vlad Guerrero Jr. is doing some amazing things with the bat this postseason. And I've only got to see Toronto in 2 games. And oh my gosh, he literally hit a grand slam in game 2. And that was whenever I knew, like, signed, sealed, delivered, it's over. Game 2 is over. It belongs to Toronto. And it did. I wasn't wrong about that. But yes, you can know Vlad Guerrero Jr. as a great player, especially in the shadow of his father. But what I am hoping is that Vlad Guerrero Jr. makes a name for himself this postseason, not just as a nice hitting first baseman for the Toronto Blue Jays. I want people to know him as a top player in MLB who can do it all, not just in the regular season, but also when given the moment in the postseason. Because seeing this already, I'm really, really happy. And Toronto is a great hitting team. But most people know Vlad because of his father. And I love when players can step out and have their own moments and we remember them as such. Now, my final player to watch for the 2025 postseason should be no surprise to anyone because it is going to be Roki Sasaki of the Los Angeles Dodgers. And I have Roki Sasaki, you know what? Pause, because the Toronto Blue Jays just scored off of a Vlad Guerrero Jr. 2-run home run. And this is his 3rd home run this postseason. Y'all, there have only been 3 games. Just amazing. So I didn't just have him on my list just because. I had him on my list because he's performing at this kind of level. And I'm wondering, are we going to see a postseason Vlad and have this kind of excitement like we have postseason Kike Hernandez? Maybe. Not to get off track, but I just amazing. And this was literally a left center home run. But back to Roki Sasaki. His story is so interesting because Roki began as a starter for the Dodgers, and most people remember him for being teary-eyed in the dugout for not having the best outing. But then you see him again, and they have done some intense training with him, and they've prepped him to come out of the bullpen. One thing you need to know about the Dodgers, when they invest in you, they're investing in you because they see something in you. And they're hoping that they can bring the best out of you, maybe make some tweaks that will ultimately bring your game up to the level that they are expecting. And lo and behold, this is what happened with Roki Sasaki. So he comes out of the bullpen and oh my gosh, pitching at such a high level and also a high velocity, because his velocity was actually dimming quite a bit. But the way that he is pitching right now and has given the Dodgers this element of, not just an element of a surprise. It's almost like a game changer for them, especially with the way that Blake Trinan, Tanner Scott, Kirby Yates, who's on the IL list, have been pitching. So to have this in your back pocket and be able to pull it out at this moment, my gosh, who was expecting this? I think we all expected Roki to be good, but for him to literally switch positions, and when I say switch position from starting to reliever slash closer, that's a big deal. A lot of pitchers do not want to do that. Number one. Number two, it's a completely different mindset in how you are performing, because you're not starting the game. You literally gotta be a little crazy to end the game in a way to prepare yourself for that. And to see him be like, yeah, I heard them booing, but I don't know English, so I just tuned it out. Do you know how insane that is? And he did just that. He got us out of the inning, and we got the second win against the Phillies. So yes, and all these players are young. These players are the future of MLB. But imagine them not just being the future of MLB in the regular season. Imagine them being and having these postseason moments that we remember for a lifetime, where they set records, where they have these social media moments that you just never forget. So yes, again, I have Roki Sasaki, Vlad Guerrero Jr., Julio Rodriguez, Jacob Mizorowski, Jackson Churio, Ben Rice, and of course, PCA, P. Crow Armstrong. Let me know if there are any players that you think I should have highlighted. Maybe there are a couple that I missed. And yeah, send me a DM. I'm glad and just grateful to be able to hear from you. But yes, this is going to be the end of episode 22. Let me know what you think about all of this. Who you have winning the World Series, and of course, who are your top players to watch for the 2025 postseason. Don't forget to check out In the Booth with my guy, Flobo Boys, In the Booth with Flobo Boys. And then, of course, finish your breakfast with Cheats every morning on Facebook, Instagram, and he posts on Threads too. Make sure you check out the live podcast every Monday night with the crew. And then there are Black Baseball mixtape comics and articles online for you to subscribe to. And then, of course, always check me out as well. I am on social media. I am on TikTok at All About April 3. Same on Threads. I'm giving a lot of information there. And of course, follow me, 10th Inning Talk, on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to the podcast. It was great having y'all. I am just excited for the postseason moment and to be able to share it all with you. But until next time, everybody, bye y'all.